Welcome to the Scene Snobs Podcast.
I put my new painting up. Oh, actually, it's up, but you can't see it. It's over there. I think I'm gonna move my desk so that we get a better view of my new Cheddar Goblin painting, which is awesome.
He did such a good job on that. I gotta give him a lot of credit.
It is freakishly good. It really, really is. It is amazing.
Yeah, I really. He showed it to me as he like right after he finished it because he was, he just wanted to make sure you would like, you guys would like it. I was like, come on, it looks great, dude.
Right? What's not to like? It's so good.
Oh, and he did the Cheddar Goblins. Even it's so poetic because he hates the movie so much.
I know, but it's so good.
And he didn't even know who the Cheddar Goblin was. But to get to that point, and you're just like,
he totally nailed it. It's so good.
It really is. I loved it. I was so proud of him when he showed it to me. I was like, dude,
I legit cried. I'm not gonna lie. I'm at a place in my life where that happened.
I think we're all in a place like that nowadays, but it's all good. There's nothing wrong with that. And with that, I'm going to say, welcome everybody to the Scene Snobs Podcast Live. I am your host, Mick Manhattan, and joined with me this week is my special guest co-host from Behind the Box Podcast, my co-host there as well, Miss Lori Hovermale. What's going on, Lori?
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, it's going pretty great, man. Well, I mean, now. my highlight is talking to you guys, so like I get you a day early. It's awesome.
Yeah.
How are you? How are you doing?
Well, I had a pretty productive day. Did some baking, did some artwork, did some, stuff to keep myself busy, keep myself occupied for a Tuesday.
Well, for anybody who doesn't know, Lori is making masks during COVID, and not just any masks. I'm talking some of the most intricate artistic masks I've ever seen. She's done some cool ones like the xenomorph mouth, even with like the little mouth coming out. That was awesome. I saw the Pennywise.
That's my favorite one so far, I think.
The Cheshire Cat one was awesome. You've done some really cool work. I mean, you are an amazing talent.
Wait till you see the ones that I was working on the sketches for today. They're a little different because they're not like the full mouth mask, but they are the people who commissioned them had some freaking amazing ideas, and they're going to be so cool. And I'm really excited to get started working on them. I can't tell you what they are yet, though. I know that was like a big letdown, but.
No, that's awesome. But make sure we get to put them up after you're done. We'd love to see them.
I will do that for sure.
And also with that, you're hosting. You're of course one of the best hosts somebody can ask for on Behind the Box. You bring great point of views to everything. That's why I'm so excited to have you on this show.
Thanks. This should be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely, and we kind of get for turn of phrase, we kind of get out of the box a little bit where we're not genre specific. We get to talk about a few different things. So
that's what hard for me to wrap my head around when I was trying to prep for this. I was like, wait, we don't have to go genre specific. It's going to be weird.
It definitely does get weird. But when you're me and you have so many shows, you're just like, all right.
I don't know how to do it.
Oh, we're joined by Ed Brock. Ed, I came on Facebook and YouTube just for you because you said you said YouTube didn't work for you last week, so I wanted to make sure you'd be able to watch us. So thank you, Ed, for joining in. But yeah, so this is the Scene Snobs Podcast, and we are talking tonight about our main topic is going to be cheesy, campy, bad movies, which I guess we're not really getting out of the genre. But we're not talking about certain movies. We're talking about why do people love them. We're talking about the psychology of it and trying to get into that route. But before we get to that, I want to go over some of the news that's going on today. And have you seen, Lori, that now the feud between AMC Theaters and Universal has come to an agreement?
I have not.
Well, if you remember back a couple months ago, Universal had stated that they're going to start putting out all of their new releases on VOD the same day that it comes out in theaters. And this bothered, to put it lightly, AMC, to the point where they said they're going to boycott all Universal's movies. That being said, how are you going to do that with Jurassic World and the Fast and Furious movies?
Yep.
So it's they've made an agreement. They've finally come to it. So now all of their movies will not come out on VOD until 3 weeks after the premiere in the theaters.
And I think that's fair.
I 100% do. Now, but I wanted to get your opinion on, what do you think about this VOD? These companies, these studios wanting to put out more on VOD.
So, I mean, I wasn't aware that this happened today, but just in the general scheme of things, just over, the whole COVID thing and whatnot and how things have changed so much. At first, I was kind of a little excited. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, I'll get to watch at home. That'll be awesome. So I'm trying to think what the first... I don't think I rented anything like super big name. Like I know one of the first ones I can remember was Invisible Woman. That was like a big one where everybody was like freaking out. And they're like, we're going to rent this and watch it at home. But I watched some lesser titles at home that were new and enjoyed it. And it was fun. But, we're big theater people. I like to go to the theater and I like to see a film on the big screen. I don't care if I've seen the film 895 times. If I've only ever seen it on television, when I go and see it at the theater, I guarantee I'm gonna see new things. It's just, you can't help it. It's huge. So the VOD thing, I think, is nice. And I think that, I have friends who won't go to the theater. They don't enjoy it at all. They don't like anything about it. So I'm sure they're pretty stoked. But pretty sure that one's going to remain kind of a 50-50 split, just down the middle. There are always going to be people who are going to want to go to the theater to see a brand new release. And then there are going to be the people who are like, this is awesome. It just came out and I can watch it on TV.
Well, I like that. That's a good point. And I agree. I mean, I'm a theater head, but I also had such a love for video stores when they were out, that watching a movie at home never took me out of that, I guess. I guess the streaming can be a little overwhelming sometimes when you're trying to find something on a streaming service. But I don't mind it as much. What do you think? Like from that angle, do you think that VOD does have a place, especially coming out so soon now? Like, do you think that? I guess the point. Like, do you think that this will diminish theaters in a way, like, take away from going to theaters? Or do you think that the people who were going to stay home are going to stay home anyway?
I think that the people that were going to stay home are going to stay home. And the only thing that I hope changes a little bit is that, I don't have children. So if I go to the movies, it's either just going to be me or me and my husband, 2 people, max. People who have families that go with their families, it can get really expensive. If I remember correctly, the VOD was something like $20 or something like that. I think to rent Invisible Woman, I think was $20. And, because at first I was kind of like, well, $20, that's a little steep for something that I'm going to be sitting in the privacy of my own home, and I don't get the benefit of, I have a pretty big TV, but I don't have like a theater screen.
Yeah.
But, and you don't have to put in for the popcorn and the soda or maybe a beer if you're at the Alamo or whatever. But I think that's appealing to families. If they want to have family night, yeah, everybody gather around. We're going to watch a movie. It's brand new, whatever it is. And $20, that'll cover it nicely. Make your own snacks or whatever. I don't think that theaters are going to suffer any more than they had been. Prior to COVID, I'm not talking post-COVID, because post-COVID is just a hot mess. But yeah, so I don't think it's going to change much. Like I said, I think there's enough of a split where, half the people are just going to rent and half the people are going to go to the theater. And I think that'll kind of probably level out.
What I'd like to see too is if this is going to happen and we're going to see more of it, and maybe we'll see more movies coming out to kind of, or maybe not more movies, but maybe more indies will have a chance at better distribution, things like that. That might be a nice turn for this. And the way I mean it is, you're going to have all these big movies coming out, but in 3 weeks, you're going to have a lot of people who, especially a post-COVID, may not be ready to go back to theaters. And I hope they are. I hope they're ready to go back one day, especially once vaccines are here. But you might get some people who are just not sold on it anymore, going to do certain experiences like concerts and stuff like that. So if that's the case, what do we get? Do theaters have to adapt and become even bigger of an experience? Some theaters have talked about doing like almost, I don't want to say balcony, but almost like kind of like layered little balcony areas. So that way you're kind of on your own, and kind of like building itself up. So, I mean, they'd have to get bigger.
Yeah.
That's the case. So like a lot more money is going to go into it. So that's going to drive up prices. So the only way I could see that really working on the side of theaters is, you could drive up prices, but now it becomes an experience. Okay, I'm not spending $120 to go to the movies for this experience and getting all of this stuff 4 times a week, every Friday or something like that. That's not going to be realistic. So maybe the bigger movies are the ones that are coming out in theaters where you can do that. You can, like the Fast and Furiouses or the Jurassic World, things like that. But then studios are going to, if they're going to have VOD, are going to have to start pumping out more, I don't want to say smaller, but lower budget, not as big productions, type movies coming out. So, I mean, that may be an interesting turn. That's purely speculation, but like I could see it happening if that were, if that became the case.
I mean, I rented Extraordinary, which I thought was amazing. And that would never, I don't think that would have seen a huge theater-wide release just in normal times. It seemed like a smaller indie film. It was hilarious. It was really good. And I enjoyed kind of looking through what the Alamo was offering from their at-home thing. And I mean, some of them were foreign films that we weren't going to, see in theaters anyhow. But I think you're right. It was kind of more at that point about kind of just looking through and trying to figure out something that you wouldn't necessarily be familiar with, something that didn't have a big name behind it. You didn't know any of the actors and actresses, and just I did take a chance in a couple that I'm not going to lie, I probably regret doing. One in particular took me 3 times to get through. I fell asleep 3 times.
But now you got to tell us.
All I'll say is it was the first official psycho cinema related at-home viewing experience. And man, I mean, I was down. I was like, this is great. I get to support psycho cinema and the Alamo at the same time. And I was like, oh my God, what happened? So I went back. I think I had like 2, maybe 3 solid days to watch the thing, and I tried, kept falling asleep, couldn't do it.
It's so funny because I've heard that from a few people, and I gotta admit, like that was probably one of my favorites that came out.
I don't know, I'm not a big noir fan, just in general, and to me it was just real confusing that not only was it like a noir kind of dark, gritty, I don't know, crime kind of a thing, but it was also subtitles. So I'm reading it, and that reading always makes me tired. I don't know, and there were some cool things. Then there were some real confusing things, but yeah, it just got out of hand for me, and I just kept losing interest.
It's actually, I get it, but one thing that I really liked, and this is a point that was brought up on comment by Chris Sales. Thank you, Chris, for the question. We've seen, since we've reopened, a lot of older classics coming out that have been a lot of fun. And Chris asks, what do you think about putting out older movies back in the theater for more revenue? Maybe Lord of the Rings, original Star Wars types. I think that's a trend that should not go away. I don't know that exactly. I love going to the drive-in and seeing older movies. I don't know that I care about going to see newer movies at the drive-in.
Right.
There's something.
It's ultimate experience. You want to, you already know and love these movies. It's not a big deal if one of the, piece of the screen's a little different color than the rest.
Yeah, and so I don't know that I ever want that to go away. Like, I don't know if it would work in. Well, I mean, it does work. The Alamo does it. The Alamo does that quite a bit. Not as much as they're doing it now on a necessity, but Psycho Cinema shows older movies for the most part. Still awesome shows, movies within the last 20, 30 years. And Film Club shows a lot of older movies. So, and then on top of that, they do have re-releases that come out. So we have a theater that does that. And then you have the Page Theater in Luray that they're showing some really awesome old movies. And then, so like, I like this trend. I don't know that I want it to go away. I think if you are going to start doing this, where you're going to have a VOD release 3 weeks later, and that's going to open people up to wanting to stay home, I think you need to attract with some of the older classics.
And I think that's a smart way to do it. Bring back the classics. I went to see Empire Strikes Back, and I couldn't have been any more excited than I was the very first time I saw it as a kid. I was like, all day long. I could not wait. It was super exciting because that was my favorite, always my favorite. And it's just really, really, really cool to just see them again on the big screen. And, who knew, we didn't know if that was ever going to be available again. You know how Disney is.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
in fact, I'm not even allowed to put this show out live anymore because you said their name.
Right. Oh, as soon as I said it too, I thought about it. I was like, oh, damn, I shouldn't have said the word. But,
secretly, I am kind of hoping, and Steve, if you're watching from the Alamo, or Andy, or anybody's watching from the Alamo, get my message across. Bill and Ted 3 is coming out. I'm very excited. I love the first two movies. It's truly amazing time machine fun. I want a 3-picture marathon in the theater. I would go see all 3 right there. So that's kind of where I'm at. Like, if you're going to show those types of classics, like, let's do it. Let's make events.
That would be really cool.
And so we were talking about it, but with COVID and like with everything, there are, and the movies coming out, for the most part, you still have some new movies coming out, but there isn't a lot of content right now. So a lot of people seem to have been moving towards TV. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about it a little bit, and I wanted to kind of cover it again. Binge-worthy shows. Like, you are not huge on streaming shows, correct?
So, not when they are new and everybody else in the world is watching them. And it's not because I think I'm, above it or any other reason. It's just I get really overwhelmed when I hear, when that's all that's in my Facebook feed. It's the only thing on Twitter. All you hear about. I tend to just be like, okay, and then I step back and maybe watch something else. But I don't have an aversion to watching shows. I'm very picky about my time because I love movies. I want to fit in everything that I can. And to binge something, I really have to be in it because that's a big time suck. And that's not something that I always have a lot of time. I happen to share we stream with Amazon, and I share that with my husband. And I'm here to tell you, I love my husband dearly, but we do not share in any way, shape, or form the same tastes in movies or television. They're the only place we can come together is sci-fi. That's it. There's nothing, and it can't be scary sci-fi. It can't be like Event Horizon sci-fi. It has to be like straight up sci-fi. Okay. So I have to be very selective. I mean, I have other ways to watch, but if we're gonna have a family night, we have to pick something that's probably not going to be something crazy that I would prefer. But yes, I will binge some shows. just real selective about it.
Okay. What are some that you have binged during this time of being quarantined?
All right. So during this time, I've gone back to some shows that I missed the first time around, and I do have a short list of ones that I want to get to. But I finally, and this was it seems like every time I think about it, I feel like maybe it wasn't the best choice in the world, but I had recently, actually Ed, if Ed is still on, he sent me some books, and one of them was The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. Sure. And I'd never read it, and I'd always wanted to read it. And I was like, awesome, I'm looking for a book right now. So I started it, and it was amazing. It was an amazing reading experience. And I knew that there was a show, but I didn't really feel like with a book that relevant and that serious that I wanted to start with the show. I wanted to start with the book. So after I read it, I started the series. And it's man, I'll tell you, that is some hard watching TV right there, but it is so good. I actually haven't finished it yet because I had to kind of reel it in a little bit. Had to kind of spread it out some, but it's really good. Let's see, I also finally started Castle Rock. I didn't have Hulu, so you see a trend there. Both of those are on Hulu, and I didn't get that until, I guess, May. I think we finally bit the dust and did it. Now, there are a couple that I haven't really gotten into yet. Oh, Bob's Burgers. I'm sorry. I have to throw that in there. But I think I was the last adult in the world who hadn't caught up or seen much. I've seen a couple here and there, but I finally started that too. Some of the ones that I want to get to are, I noticed the other day flipping through that Lost. I have never seen a single episode of Lost. Oh. Now, I know that's an undertaking. I get that. But I feel like...
I don't mean to cut you off, but just to warn you, it's not just an undertaking. Like, it starts off really good. And then a lot of people hated the ending. I didn't. I didn't like it as much as I wish I did, and they left a lot open that I wish they didn't. But
so it's my understanding that show suffered from the writer's strike, kind of right in the middle, right? So it started off strong, got a little and then people were kind of torn on the ending. But listen, I'm here to tell you, I survived Game of Thrones. If I can watch the season finale of Game of Thrones and still be here to talk about it, then I'm pretty sure I can handle whatever Lost can throw at me, because I'm still a little heartbroken about that.
Well, yeah, I wanted to ask too, going back and finding binge-worthy shows is always fun. I do it myself. There's always at least 2 shows at a time I have to watch, and that's one that my wife will watch with me. And then one I can watch on my own, because if she's not around to watch it, I need something else to have on. It's usually, the second one is more mindless. Like, I don't have to, like, I just found Tacoma FD. And that show was so good. It's hysterical. And anybody who hasn't watched it, you should definitely check it out. It's a funny show. But we're rewatching. And the reason I bring up this point is I'm rewatching with her Yellowstone, which is one of my favorite shows. Oh, wow. She's never seen it, so we're starting from the beginning. She's starting fresh. I told her, I was like, I am not stopping in the season. This is a show that I do go back to week, and I don't mind doing it because I need to see it when it comes out. What shows for you? Are there any shows that, like, you'll go back to on network or on cable, and you're just like, week to week, I have to watch this?
We don't have cable, but when we did, for a short period of time, we had discovered. So my husband, like I mentioned, we can do sci-fi together, and we got rid of cable and went streaming only about, I'm going to say maybe a year and a half ago, something like that. Mm-hmm. And John had never really experienced the possibility of just having an entire season in front of him because he had cable and didn't really know what that was like. I came home from work one day and I saw him sitting in front of the TV looking very just disheveled and, a little off and just kind of on the edge of his seat. And I was like, are you okay? What's going on? And he had discovered The Expanse, and he had binged it, and it was his first binge watching experience ever, and he didn't even know it was a thing. He's like, I've been sitting here, and I think this is the 7th or 8th episode. I don't know, but I've been here all day. So I was interested in it then. I sat down and I was like, you know what, this is really good. So we went back and rewatched from the beginning.
Nice.
And yeah, and I think also the same thing happened with Lost in Space. That was a good one too.
Yeah. I would say for me personally right now, if it's not the Orville, it's The Expanse is the best sci-fi show on TV.
The Expanse is amazing. It's so good. And I can go back and rewatch that at any point. Like I can just jump in wherever with that one. It doesn't matter.
Nice.
You mentioned Yellowstone, and I wrote that down because I don't know that. But I do remember very early on, you and I had talked about this, I think. I had never seen Parks and Rec, and I caught up on that one pretty quick too. That was a good one. That was like a binge for me that everybody talked about it for years and years and years. And finally I was like, all right, fine. And that one was super fun. Cause I think it was right around, when COVID broke, and I needed something super light, and I didn't want to, think a whole lot. Like you said, sometimes you just need to be able to just, sit and watch stuff and laugh until you cry.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Not cry, but happy cry.
No, but you definitely always need to break it up. Like you can't just go from drama to drama to drama, like you have to have that, okay, I'm going to watch a sitcom.
Yeah, you got to watch some craziness. Did you ever get into Fleabag by any chance?
I have not. It's on the list to watch, but I haven't had a chance to watch it yet.
It's a super short, I think it's maybe only 8 short, maybe half hours. I don't know. It goes real quick, but that is the best, just roller coaster craziness. But it's also like relatable. So that's a good one. I would suggest that one if you want something just kind of quick that you can get into and you'll laugh. It's pretty funny.
Sweet. All right. Well, I will definitely check that out. And it's funny that we are talking about binge-worthy TV shows because we're talking about the good stuff we want to watch. But what we aren't talking about is the bad stuff we want to watch. And the reason I'm segueing now is because we are, and I want to talk a little bit too about who you are acting as a sponsor, but we are sponsors from the Scene Snobs of this weekend, Psychorama, and which is a psycho cinema production, if you will, or event as they put on, I guess is the best way to put it. And basically how it is, it's usually a sleepover, and you get 6 movies and you watch them overnight. But because of COVID, it's been broken up. We're having them 3 movies on Saturday, 3 movies on Sunday, and we are sponsors through the Scene Snobs and also the Walking Malls, which was started by Lori. You want to talk about that a little bit?
So I worked in an establishment that could not sponsor psycho cinema or Psychorama because of our affiliation with the Alamo. They sold our beer there, so we weren't able to sponsor anything because you're not allowed to do that, which makes perfect sense. So I tried for years to find a way. I was like, I'm going to find a way. It's going to be legal and we're going to do it. And I could never work it out. So this year I was like, all right, look, there has to be another way. And I was like, why don't I just ask if anybody wants to contribute some money, and then we'll just be our own our own sponsor. And I'd always wanted to start a pretend girl gang called the Walking Malls, MOLLS, like the gangsters' girlfriends or whatever, because Winchester has the Walking Mall. So I thought that was quite clever and quite funny. And it didn't, we weren't ever going to go put on our pink ladies jackets and whatnot, but I do have a jacket. I haven't painted it yet, but I did buy a jacket just for fun.
Nice.
But I just really wanted a way to sponsor, with just to show support, because Faye I know how hard she works on putting this all together. And I know that it's expensive, and I figure, the more people that contribute and the longer we can keep these movies coming to Winchester, the better. So walking walls were born.
And I love that too, because you got community members together to support a community event, and that's amazing. So kudos to you, Lori, for doing that. That's fantastic. And as soon as I heard I can be a member, I was like, I'm jumping in. Here's my money. Take my money.
You get stickers this weekend, man.
Oh, that's very cool. Well, yeah, so I'm excited about that, and I'm excited for the event too, because it's always fun. I mean, it's going to be a little bit different now with COVID, but the Alamo is playing it safe and has their precautions, which I love. But we are still getting our 6 movies over 2 days, and anybody who buys a ticket and joins, you can also watch any one of those movies throughout the week. They will be showing them. So make sure you check those out. But to get into what Psychorama it's a collection of some of the cheesiest, some of the bad, some of the campiest, but very beloved films. And that's what Lori and I are talking about in our main topic tonight, which are those campy, cheesy, bad movies that we just can't seem to get away from.
Because we love them.
They're ingrained in our blood. Like, it's just how it is. But, I wanted to talk more about, we talk about on Behind the Box, because that's a Cult Classics podcast. We talk about these movies a lot. And we get a lot of the stuff, when Rob talks, because of how bad the movies that he loves are. He'll watch this at some point and get mad. But we love you, Rob. But I want to talk about, why do you think it's so these movies are so important to us? Why is Trolls 2, The Blob, Society, which are all movies at Psychorama this weekend, why are they important to us? Why do we need to watch these movies over and over again?
Oh man, I think about this a lot, because obviously I'm into it because of what we do on the other podcast, and just my love for these movies. And I think it has a lot to do with, I don't know a ton about, filmmaking history and stuff like that, but, you see things like Ed Wood, the movie about the famed, really bad filmmaker who, he was so earnest, and he just really wanted to make a good film. He didn't quite care enough to, do it right, but he wanted to do it, and he was trying. And I feel like these films that we watch, I think an underlying theme in most of them is that somebody had a vision for this beautiful disaster of a film that has been released into the world, whatever it is, whether it's, one of my favorites is Night of the Lepus. There is an obvious man in a bunny suit bloodied up and eating people, and it is horrible, but I find every single moment of that movie super charming. DeForest Kelley and a lot of polyester, and you can just look back and you can remember, I remember growing up and my mom dressed me in those kind of bell-bottom pants, and I've seen pictures of myself, and it's horrible, but just to see it live on film where somebody thought, I'm going to make this movie and it's going to scare people or make people laugh, and it's just, to us, laughably bad. But I think that most of us who love these movies have really, really big hearts, and we just see that somebody loved it and wanted to give it life, and they put it out in the world, and they were probably so proud of it. And we may not be loving it the way that they had intended, but we still love it.
That is a great point. I have a little bit different of a theory as to why so many find these movies to be beloved. These, let's for lack of a better term, call them loser movies.
Okay.
And there's a reason I'm calling them that. And it's part of my theory of, we all know, us horror fans growing up and things like that, like, you weren't thought of as the cool kid. We were losers.
I'm glad you're going here, because I agree with you.
We were losers, but we loved what we loved. The losers did. And it didn't just mean horror kids, like the fantasy guys who played Dungeons and Dragons. I wasn't one of them, but Lenny, who is on Behind the Box podcast with us, was. There were others who were they were into it. They loved what they loved. And there's so many different type of geeks and nerds out there. But back then, you couldn't be. If you were marked a geek or a nerd, you were probably violently beaten a lot, or at least ridiculed way more than anybody should be. So I think, and that goes back way before us, and continues through us. I think it goes back to, like, Ed Wood was one of those guys.
He was.
He was ridiculed in the business, and he was different. He liked to wear women's clothes, and fine. Good for you, dude.
He loved it, and like you said, he just loved what he loved, and
exactly. And he did things his way, and yeah, he cut corners, but he did it because he loved it and he wanted to do it the best way he could figure out how to do it. And the reason this is kind of like, to me, we're at a point now where there's a lot more acceptance of these things, I think, and the movies we go see, like, I know I can bring my kids to go see, certain movies. I can watch Night of the Lapis with them. I can watch all these different things with them, and they'll have an appreciation for it. So, like, it's going to be, they're learning from our pain in the past, having to go through loving these movies. Like, these movies, when you watch them with your friends on a Friday night, while everybody else is off at the party you weren't invited to, it was a good experience. So we always look
experience,
right, and we always look back. Like, when I think about some of these movies, like Demon Knight, that's one we used to go over. Len was one of them, and a couple other guys. We used to go over my buddy Ty's. We would drink Mountain Dew, eat pizza, play NHL Live 96, and then we'd watch Demon Knight. Or a movie like that. We would go to the video store and we'd rent these crazy movies that did not do well, but we loved them. So I think a lot of it, when we go back and we go to things like Psychorama, it's because those are events we didn't have growing up.
Right.
That we needed. Desperately, I think the geek kids, the geek culture, we needed events like that. But it's finally coming out now. So as adults, we can go and we can enjoy these movies on the big screen. And it's kind of like a love letter from us to go and check these things out and just enjoy them with other people who are like-minded.
It's totally a love letter. And it took us a long time to find our tribe. So now that we have, we're going to go out and we're going to enjoy this. We're going to go, we're going to support these films. And, like I said, I can't convince my husband, and I wouldn't try, but just in fun, I've tried a few times and he just doesn't get it. And I'm like, all right, that's cool, man. You do you watch your whatever. I don't have to have your, not approval for me, but like, I don't need you to love these films because I love them enough for like 20 people,
Yeah.
And like you said, we're super fierce about it. It's not just a normal, like, hey, this is kind of cool, let's watch this movie. I mean, we are like, these are our, I don't know, these are our homes. These are our memories. Like you said, I'm in the exact same, I can tell the exact same story of going over to my best friend's house, because we weren't the cool kids. We weren't invited to the field parties, and we knew they were going on. But guess what? We had just gone to Highs and bought ourselves a gallon of ice cream, all the candy we could stand, and we rented Madman Mars, and we rented like Basket Case, and we would put those movies in and watch them until we got so scared that we had to turn it off and like run in our bedroom real quick until we were like brave enough to come back out, turn it on again. And I remember that. And to me, I wasn't concerned at the time that I wasn't invited to the parties and that I wasn't a popular girl. All I knew is I was watching, these films with my best friend, eating junk, like horrible junk. Bugles. You put the bugles on your fingers.
Yeah.
Did you do that?
Oh yeah, which fingers? Definitely.
Yeah, go do that. And I mean, that's just, that to me was what the weekend was about, and that's what I looked forward to.
Exactly. You were out of the element of school, and you were now doing something you loved, and like especially that's why we're video store kids, and we love that world, and we've talked about, and we've at length, and we to the point where we're unofficial spokespeople for the Last Drive-In, but like to have Joe Bob Briggs back, like a lot of people I talked to who weren't fans of that at that era, maybe they were a little older for that era, or just weren't into it. Maybe they were the cool kids. They didn't quite grasp that Monster Vision on a Saturday night. That you had somebody who loved something as much. You had a host who loved something as much as you did, and and you could connect with people on it. So it was such a huge thing that when it came back, like that was like a piece of our childhood. And that's what I really think it comes down to, is we've had so many good memories with these movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why we love to share them. Like I give him a lot of crap. And don't ever tell him I said this. Hopefully he'll never watch. But I give Rob from Behind the Box a lot of crap for his choices. And they are, I watch them and I'm like, I'm not going to have the same memory you did. Just like you're not going to have the same memory I did. But
that's like about us all taking turns, though, because because I haven't watched his movie yet. I'm going to watch it tomorrow. I might watch it tonight, depending on how tired I am. But when he talks about it tomorrow, I know what kind of level of excitement to expect from him. Because you got that from me when I talked about Batman 66. We got it from me. I mean, it's just that's what's so fun about it. Just the memories that you have, and you want to share that with your friends now, because you know how much they appreciate that.
And that's why I love doing that on that show. I love the recommendations, like, all right, we're all going to watch this week, and whoever's like watching the show with us, you watch it too, and then when we analyze it, chip in, let us know what you think, stuff like that. We want to hear your opinions. And The Dark Side of the Moon, I think I'm the only one who might have watched it so far.
Yeah, I think Lynn and I were going to do tomorrow.
So
today.
It's a bad movie. If I rented this movie back in the day, here's how I know it's a bad movie that I really enjoyed. And let me tell you something. I don't think there exists that I've seen a bad B, C, D, all the way to Z movie that I haven't enjoyed in some way because I said, you know what, I'm glad I saw that. Mm-hmm. Even Cannibal Holocaust, which is a movie I vowed I'd never watch again in my life. I was like, I had a great experience watching that. Because I was with my friends, that when we found it, and one of my buddies had to get it from across the ocean, and like we finally got it, and we sat down and watched it. And it was ridiculously disturbing, but I'll always cherish that memory. So trying to do this, like I feel like we're trying to recreate that with these. Like, let's all watch this and analyze this movie on the next one. Now, Dark Side of the Moon, I'm not going to analyze it tonight, but I will say I watched it and it was bad. And I was like, this is a Rob movie.
I'm so excited to see it.
I was 100%, just like Demon Seed, this is a Rob movie. I think all of our picks kind of speak to who we are. So when I watched this, I was like, oh yeah, this is Rob through and through. But after I watched it, I was like, I'm glad I watched it though. I was like, it's not like I watched it and I was like, I can't believe he's picking bad movies. This is terrible. I was in.
I mean, I have to tell you, I had never seen Demon Seed. I have the book. It is on my shelf right now. And it's just been sitting there. And I watched it and I'm sitting there and at first I was like, oh God, this. And then about halfway through, I realized I was like in it. And it was so weird and so wrong.
Weird is such a loose term to give that movie too.
Weird and wrong are the two, and then it just kept getting, you know, like at first I was just kind of like taking it lightly, like I couldn't focus on anything but the chick's hair, you know, which whatever. But then it just started getting weirder and more bizarre and then disturbing. And some of the things that happened, I was like, okay, I don't know why that happened, but I'm going to remember that scene for a very, very long time. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to watching the movie tomorrow.
Well, I can't wait to hear what everybody thinks about it. I want to hear Rob's analysis because he's all in on it. But I mean, those are the types of movies. So remember going to the video store, and not just the movies that we loved. These were movies that we didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
you had to look at that box cover, and you had to make your decision from that. And you know how bad some of those were. I mean, bad.
Well, but they were just gems, you know. Like, I mean, oh my God, one that comes to mind is the Sleepaway Camp 2 box, where it's the girl hiking with the chainsaw, and Freddy's glove, and the hockey mask, and her
little shorts, and she's having at it.
And it has, I remember as a kid seeing that, and I'm like, oh yeah, like this is cool. It's gonna have everybody in it.
I want this one, please.
Yeah, I was like, everybody's gonna be in it. And I watched it before I watched the original Sleepaway Camp, so I didn't know going in. I'm like, yeah, no, it's gonna have Freddy, it's gonna have Leatherface, it's gonna have Jason. They're promising it on the box, and then it's just Bruce Springsteen's sister murdering people.
She's singing her song. She's playing the guitar and singing her song.
And watching that movie and doing that, yeah. And then watching the third one, and I'm like, man, this gets even weirder. And it's still Bruce Springsteen's sister killing people. And then I'm like, all right, well, I need to check out the first one. And I think it was Len who owned it on VHS, and he showed it to me. And I was just like, this is not the same movie.
See, oh no, yeah. I have such a love for Sleepaway Camp that I can't even, like, I've seen the second one. I don't think I'll ever watch the third. I'm sure at some point I'll see it. I'm not going to go out of my way, but I will.
Teenage Wasteland, get on it.
I know. Oh, Lord. But the first one was so, I mean, you talk about a film that it's just so bad that it's good. There's so much about that it's just like every scene has something amazing. I can't get over the shorts. I can't. I just...
And those are the shorts the men are wearing in the movie.
You grew up in Jersey.
Yeah.
Do you remember shorts that short? Because I don't.
Here's the thing. Yes and no. If it almost feels like a faint Mandela effect.
Okay, that's fair.
Because I always ask myself, because I was a big basketball fan. And back in the 80s, they wore some short shorts. So I know they existed. And all these movies prove their existence. And even when I go back and I look at pictures of me and my brothers running around, we had short shorts. And like, we were little kids, but we had short shorts on. And I'm just, but I think back on it and I'm just like, why? We have long shorts now. They make sense. They're practical.
And some of those dudes were like purposely making, I mean, they were cutting them short. I mean, that was just like, wow, that's a lot for a dude, but whatever. I mean, I guess at a certain time that was what, was happening.
I remember they were called plum smugglers.
Yes, they are.
And I'm like, and they're like tennis and track shorts. But again, I'm like sitting there thinking, and I'm like,
I mean, you can't do anything in them but stand. I mean, there's no action happening because things are going to fall out. I mean, there's just no, and they look like, you should be running or something, but don't in those. Don't. I don't know.
It made no sense to have those shorts, and they were in every movie in the 80s.
Yes. God love them.
But I love that, like, when you watch, like, a Stranger Things or, like, a movie like Summer of '84 and things like that, they're a little longer than they were. So it's
Because
like,
even the actors are like, no.
but I'm like, that's misrepresentation. You had to look like an asshole back then.
Be authentic. If you're gonna make a piece that you got to do it, man. But yeah, oh Lord, they're just.
Yeah. Every time I look at those, I'm like, you need to hike those shorts up because those are a lot smaller. And they did not change. We did not get longer shorts until like 1990, 91. So.
Yeah. If then, jeez.
I think they started getting longer when people were like, screw it, I'm not wearing those. I'll just cut like the legs off my jeans.
There you go. And then they could control it.
And that is where, yes, I realize they're around in the 70s too, and then in the 60s. But those jorts were created out of necessity because the actual shorts were terrible. So you gotta. That's my forgiveness for jorts.
I would forgive just plain old jorts, but I draw the line at the colored jorts. Did you like the? That's not forgivable. It's just not.
The black jorts?
Well, not even the black ones. Like sometimes they would have like dark green or like the burgundy. I mean, I'm like, come on, dude. No, you either dress pants it or jorts or jeans. That's your options. We don't need to be coloring our jorts. Yeah.
I think the thing that makes me most mad is people are trying to take out the cargo shorts. You need to shut up and stop. The cargo shorts are amazing. They hold.
I am pro cargo shorts, just for the record. I'm going on record right now saying I am pro cargo shorts. Not for ladies, but for dudes.
Drives me nuts when people are. Yeah. No, I mean, I get there's a certain type, but I do. You guys have purses. We need places to carry our stuff.
Pockets. A lot of pockets. Yeah. I mean, I totally get it. I'm totally fine with this.
But I am against cargo pants unless you are an adventurer. You're only allowed to wear them if like you're going on an adventure. That's the way this works.
Okay. That's fair enough.
I don't know why that's my line. It's like, yeah, no, you can wear the shorts during the summer.
You can't wear the pants because that is just a step beyond.
You need to be Indiana Jones out there wearing those cargo pants. You don't think if in the 30s and 40s he wanted to wear cargo pants, he wouldn't?
He would have been so happy to have cargo pants.
Just something to put those stones in.
He could have kept little bags of sand in the side, and it would have been fine. Yeah.
Oh,
so much easier.
Nothing would be worse than seeing that scene remade where he forgot a bag, so he has to take off his pants with sand in them.
Yeah.
Just wearing his tighty whities. But yeah, no, I gotta say, that is Sleepaway Camp. Those shorts, those are a very accurate study of.
That's it.
And that's why, like I said, if anybody is making a movie now that takes place in the 80s, and I see those long shorts on kids and other adults,
they called on it.
You are bullshitting yourselves. Go watch Sleepaway Camp. That's how short those shorts need to be. That's just how they were, and it's disturbing. But with that being said, I will say this, kind of get into it. I took a little bit of a hiatus the past 4 days. I was like, I needed a break, and there's some things I needed to take care of, and I just couldn't do the shows at the same time. But that doesn't mean I wasn't thinking and coming up with ideas. And I wanted to let everybody know, since I didn't do it, and Lori, since you're here, we have a few special events coming up. Shark Week, not next week, but the week after, starting the 9th. The whole Scene Snobs, that whole week, every show, except for the showcase, and I'll get to that in a second, is going to be shark themed. And we're going to bring you some fun stuff. On August 14th, if you were a fan of The Last Drive-In, then make sure you join us. Because the Behind the Box crew, which always live tweets The Last Drive-In.
I miss it so much every Friday.
Oh, it's going to be so much fun to have a sleepover event, with Joe Bob and Darcy. So we are going to, the showcase is normally, the Friday night showcase is normally at 9 p.m. It's always live on our YouTube channel. You can I invite people to come on and just kind of like partake in the games and the stuff that we're playing. But Behind the Box crew is going to be my guests that week, and it is going to be a Last Drive-In theme. And we're inviting special friends of the Mutant Fam coming on, and they're going to join us. So that's going to be a great time.
It's going to be awesome.
And I don't have the dates for it yet. What was supposed to happen was I invited everybody out for the possibility of being on the Friday night showcase to discuss Star Trek. And we're going to have a special Star Trek themed showcase episode. The problem with doing that was, you were on the list. The problem with that was I had an astounding number of people reach out to me with how big Star Trek is. And it made me realize Star Trek is too big for just one show. So we are also going to be doing a Star Trek Appreciation Week on the scenesnobs.com. That is going to be coming either late August, early September. It's definitely going to be right around that time. I have to check my dates again, and we will get that out to you. So every episode that week, I am inviting guests who are experts of Star Trek to come on the shows and discuss it. Every show is going to be Star Trek themed, and we're going to play some games. It's going to be a fun time. So, one more. This is coming in November. We are a ways out. Star Trek pushed it back a little bit. We are going to be doing our next Director Appreciation Week on the Scene Snobs, and that's going to be John Hughes movies. And so we are going to appreciate the man who really just kind of defined a generation, if you will. Many generations, if some could say, and still is to this day. And we're going to celebrate John Hughes and his movies. So be sure to check all those out. I will have dates on everything. And if you want to be a guest on any of the shows, let me know. I'm still looking for guest co-hosts on the Scene Snobs Podcast. And also guests who want to jump on and discuss things on the showcase. Anybody's allowed to come on. Any artist of any type. If you want to play music or you want to talk movies or whatever else, please let me know. But I was joined tonight by Lori, and I am so appreciative. I had such a great time on the show tonight. Lori, I hope you had fun co-hosting with me.
I totally did. It was nice.
I hope you'll come on again because this was a lot of fun. But yeah. So thank you, everybody, for joining in. Remember, go out. I need a big favor here. We all do. Go to the Scene Snobs YouTube channel. Hit subscribe. And any videos you check out on there, please hit the like button. We always have content coming out every day. So it's a lot of fun. And make sure we come out, and we are both going to be on tomorrow night live at 7:30 p.m. with the Behind the Box podcast. And it's Guilty Pleasures is the theme.
I'm so excited. I have the worst. I'm going to embarrass the heck out of myself.
I cannot wait to hear everybody's.
Look forward to it. Oh.
And if you're out at Psychorama this weekend, we'll all be there. So make sure you come check us out and say hello with your masks on. Let's do it safely. All right.
Yeah.
Until next time, everybody, thanks for joining in, and you guys have a great night.
Good night.